If you've been suffering for months, maybe years and years and years with symptoms of IBS, whether that's diarrhoea, constipation, bloating, unpredictable flare-ups, and no matter how much you try, how much things you've tried, who you've been to see, the doctor, all these different people, and you've tried all this different stuff, but you're still stuck. You're still getting these symptoms, you're still getting these IBS attacks, you're still getting the flare-ups, which is leaving you more frustrated, more concerned, more in pain, less energy, all this stuff, then don't go anywhere. This podcast is going to absolutely be for you. Today we're going to dive into a hugely important subject, which I missed when I was younger, when I had IBS, when I was in the trenches with this myself many, many years ago. I'll share that with you. And also I see it time and time again in our Facebook group, IBS in Men, when I read posts and comments in there off the members, the ones that we've not worked with, the ones we haven't helped directly. I see comments and reading there, and it is heartbreaking to see, because it's a different way of thinking to get the outcome, and it's not just dieting. It's way before food. It's way before we look at the different diet plans, and maybe you've tried stuff like low FODMAP process, and you've tried this, and you've tried eliminating that, and you still haven't got the outcome. But there's a reason for that. What is it? What is that reason? Well, we're going to cover that today. The one thing that I feel, in my experience, is needed to conquer IBS and just kick ass in life, no pun intended, so you can feel better, you can feel more, you can be more, you can earn more, so you can go out and do the things that you want to do and have the impact in life, whether it's your business, your family, that you want to achieve. If that's you, if you're sick and tired of all that, it sounds like you've been in a bit of a muddle with everything for months, maybe years. I was in a muddle for years. Then again, we're going to dive in today to something, what I will call on this podcast, a skill set of skills. Okay, before we dive into that though, I am going to mention, because everybody says, you hear it banded around all the time, that mindset is the most important thing. And it is. You need the right mindset. So wherever you've come from in the past with your IBS journey, whatever you've been suffering from, it's just having an open mind, is listening to this and just be ready to accept maybe some new information, just to consider it, that it could go against some existing beliefs. Because if you believe you can or you can't get an outcome, then Henry Ford said it right. Whether you think you can or you can't, you are right, because it's in your mind, it's your belief, it's your mindset. So if you think you can't get the outcome and you can't conquer your IBS symptoms and live a life without those symptoms, and you are basically set in stone that that's what's happening, then I'm not here to convince you otherwise. What I would say is, if that is you, if you've even got just a tiny percent of your mind is thinking, well, maybe, just maybe, please listen to this podcast, consider the information that I'm going to give you, maybe do some more research yourself, and it could change your life. It could change the trajectory of your life moving forwards, so you can get the outcome you want. So, as I said before, you can be a better father, a better husband, a better partner, better at work, without those things getting in the way. Okay, let's dive in. So what do we mean by skill set? It's basically the gap that where you are now. So you with that, and it's with anything. It could be in your business, it could be in your profession, wherever you are now. But we're looking at IBS. So you've got all these issues, all these problems that are happening, and you're trying stuff. You've tried stuff in the past. I tried stuff in the past. Typically people they might go and try breath tests, food allergy testing, and I don't know, missing gluten, bread and pasta, rice, missing all this stuff, not eating dairy, just guessing, just taking wild stabs in the dark and having that guesswork on what to do. But you're still getting flare-ups, you're still getting IBS symptoms, you're still getting issues. Sometimes not that bad, other times could be really, really bad. The point I'm trying to make is you haven't got the one big outcome. And when I say the big outcome, what I mean by that is having mastery. Just like driving your car after a period of time, when you've got that experience, you master driving. Maybe you are already a high achiever, you're working in business, maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you are even just in a high profile job and you're really, really good at what you do. You've got mastery over that thing. Yes, you're always learning, and yes, you're always developing your skills going back to, but you're good at what you do. So you've got that skill set in whatever area, if that makes sense. So really, the thing that's missing now from where you are with IBS to where you want to get to, because there's all these things happening, the gap is what's happening. You've got this big gap of where you are now and where you want to get to, i.e. the one big outcome. And to close that gap, it's the skills. So it's not supplements, it's not going to the doctors and getting information that you don't really agree with or it's not really helping you. It's not trying all this different stuff, maybe reading a book and doing nothing, or reading stuff and not really understanding it. And it's none of that. It's getting the skills. So let's dive in. So getting help is the key thing. Now, when we look at this, we did a podcast recently, actually, Charlie and Jean did, on erectile dysfunction. And actually, most of the podcasts that we've been doing of late has really been covering things that where if we get help, if we get expert help, we could really overcome them issues. Not just with our health, with anything when you think about it. And the crazy part is, most men do get help. Well, we do go and see someone, we do seek an expert for certain things. Like a driving instructor. You've got to by law, so I guess we have to do it. We have to seek out a driving instructor, an expert who's got driving mastery, to train us how to drive so we can pass our test and drive a car, ride a bike, bus, etc. It's exactly the same with, if you go to university or if you are an entrepreneur and you're trying to get some skills in sales and marketing, we seek out the best or the person that is where we want to get to, and they've got the skills already and the wisdom to get us there. We pay them a bunch of money usually if it's private. Sometimes it can be a little bit of money, it can go all the way up to being a small fortune, but we look at getting a return of investment on that money so we can learn them skills, so we can make money ourselves and pay that investment back, if that makes sense. So it's the same, we're already doing this, but yet we don't do it when it comes to our health. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, because your health is your wealth. Your health is wealth. Without good health, without being in good shape, mentally and physically as a man, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, we start falling apart at the seams. That's the consequences, and it's a kind of a truth bomb, maybe, if you're listening to this. Then maybe you're suffering already, maybe that's happening, I hope not. But if we don't do things today, if we don't act soon, as in not tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes, someday is not on the calendar, we can start doing small things today moving forwards. We can save ourselves a lot of pain in the future. We can save ourselves a lot of money in the future, so we can feel better, earn more, make more, etc. So just by doing small things today. If you did 1% a day, 1% improvement on your health, that's 365% improvement in a year. Some people don't do any of that, so they get to the end of the year and it's been 0%. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's just doing small things each day, marginal gains, can bring about a huge outcome 1 year, 3 years down the line. And it is trying to think differently and taking a step back and rather than thinking in the moment of what's happening right now, what's happening tomorrow, what in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. And that's a different way of thinking. It's the same way of thinking when you come look at investing money into stocks and shares, whether it's cryptocurrency, whatever you're doing in terms of wealth. It's the long game, like compound interest. It's the long game. You're planting seeds, you're planting the money now, and it grows over time. And it's the same, you've got to think long. So what is skill? What is a skill broken down to, and how does that relate to IBS? I kind of break a skill down into a number of component parts. The first part is the knowledge. We've got to have the knowledge, haven't we? Whether that's in books, there's tons of books out there, whether that's podcasts, listening to this podcast, audiobooks, blogs, websites, the list is massive for knowledge. We can go and get that knowledge, can't we? On IBS, on gut conditions, how to this, how to that. But that's not enough. Knowledge within itself, there used to be a saying, knowledge is power. I kind of disagree with that, even though it is really good to have knowledge. It's not powerful unless you put that knowledge into action and then get the experience. Otherwise, it's useless, isn't it? And I heard a podcast recently of some billionaire guy, and he said thoughts and ideas are like arseholes. Everybody's got one. I was just like, thought that's quite funny because, yeah, we've all got these thoughts, we've all got ideas, we've all got knowledge, but not everybody puts that knowledge into best practice, if that makes sense. So knowledge is the first part, but we need it. It's a really important part. Now, obviously, the problem is with knowledge when it comes to IBS is there's so much out there. I mean, even bringing it to modern day, you go on Gemini and ChatGPT. How amazing is Gemini and ChatGPT? If you've not used it, it's phenomenal. Saves you loads of time compared to the old classic Google searching. But the problem is people are then relying on that because they think artificial intelligence, well, wow, look at AI. It's supposed to be, I think the last I heard, as intelligent as Albert Einstein or Stephen Hawking and all these great minds that have been around. So we're like, well, if it's that intelligent, it's more intelligent than me, it's more intelligent than, say, my doctor or my physician, I'll just get my information off ChatGPT. But guess what? Here's one for you, spoiler alert. Where does ChatGPT and Gemini pull all the information from? Yes, it's got access to gazillions and gazillions of information, and they can pull it across in like the space of about 3 seconds, so it's phenomenal. But where does it get it from? It gets it from all these different sources. Some of these sources are really, really good. They're really, really accurate. But guess what? On the opposite side of the spectrum, a lot of the information that it's pulling it from is false. It's fiction. It's inaccurate. There's no scientific and robust studies to back that evidence up, that information. And it's pulling it all together and giving you an outcome. It's giving you, this is what you need to do, or this is what you need to look at. Well, that's fantastic. Because what you've then got, and you don't know, so it's not your fault, you've then got this information laid in front of you, fact mixed with fiction, is it right, is it not right, do I trust it, don't I trust it, kind of stuff going on. Just a thought to pass on to you. So that's the knowledge part of it. Now, where does that leave you? You're like, oh, okay then. So if I pick up a book, how do I know it's correct? How do I know if it's going to help me? You've got to check out the source. Check where it comes from. Who is it written by? You know, for example, you know, has that book been written by a person that specialises, that is an expert, qualified, and studied in that field, in that arena? That's the first thing, really, isn't it? Because how many books do you know, have you read, maybe, and there's tons out there, and there's books about like wealth, people write books about money and their skin. So that's the knowledge part. The knowledge will teach you the what it is. So that's going to teach you what I call the what. Then the next bit is methods. You need the methods. Remember looking at skill. So to get a skill, to close that gap, we need the methods as well as the knowledge. What is the methods? That's the how. How to put that knowledge into practice, tailored to you, if it's done properly. Now, obviously, again, crazily as it is across the internet, the stuff's all over the place. There's charlatans, there's fake gurus, there's really good people as well, obviously. But there's all these and everything in between. So you've got to be careful because of all that. It's difficult. It's a difficult world to navigate anyway, let alone all this. So that's why we do these podcasts, to give you that information, to arm you with this knowledge, and you can put things into practice, hopefully, which we're going to go into in a minute what that does, so you can get better results moving forward in the future. That's why I'm passionate about helping you with this and getting the word out there. So we've got the knowledge, we've got the methods, and then the last part is that needs to be blistered together, as you will, to have a practice phase. So you practice those, you're practicing, you've got the knowledge, which is the what, we've got the methods, the how, come together, putting that then into practice into your own life moving forward. With IBS, it's showing you step by step, and it's taking you step by step from where you are now, with symptoms, with flare-ups, it could be horrific, whatever that looks like, and it's taking you step by step so you get the best possible outcome, so that you've got the skills, the tools required that are specific to you as a man, for around your lifestyle, around your food taste, what you like to eat. You might be vegan, you might love meat, you might have other issues going on where you've got certain dietary restrictions with another health condition that needs to be accounted for and tailored for. And that's why it's so important to go to a professional that's going to help you so you don't make yourself even worse and possibly put your health in danger. Is it always going to work for you? No. And if anybody says it is, they're lying to you, because we're all different. You might get shown a certain diet, for example, and it doesn't work, or it's not right for you, it makes you worse, makes you feel worse. Well, then what we need to do is test and adjust. Okay? Like in the army, we used to go on the ranges with our rifle, and we'd lie down, and we'd get told that when you lie on the floor with your rifle to take aim at the target, you have to test and adjust in your position. Test and adjust, not always going to be right. You might fire a shot, you might miss the target, you might have to move and retest, retake up another position and readjust to fire it and get a more accurate shot. And that's what we need to do with IBS when you go to the right expert, with the right person that's got the right methods and the right knowledge to get the outcome. Happy with that so far? Any questions, then obviously fire them in. If you're on YouTube, fire them in the comments. And if you're listening, if you're in the Facebook group, IBS in Men, then feel free to ask me some questions and we can chat even more. So once we've got all that, and once we understand that, that's the skills, so that we've got that knowledge, Now we've got the experience, that equals wisdom. That's where wisdom comes from. So knowledge isn't power, wisdom is power. Knowledge isn't powerful on its own, it's just a thought, it's just in your head. It's good to know stuff, but then putting it into practice, finding what works, what doesn't work for you, testing, adjusting, till we get the right thing that does work for you, then you've got the skills, you've got the tools, the knowledge, you've got the wisdom to move forwards in life. Right, so that's basically, in a nutshell, without going too deep into it, what we mean by getting a skill. Then, over time, as the weeks and the months go by, with that skill for IBS, you can have what we call mastery. Just like when you go and pass your test. We pull it back to driving a car. You go to your driving instructor, the expert, say, driving instructor, can you teach me how to drive a car? I'm going to pay you a bunch of money, you're going to teach me to drive a car. Yeah, cool. You get in, first time, you're all over the place, trying to change gears, dip the clutch, do this, check the mirrors, and all this stuff's going on, it's crazy. And you've got to do the knowledge beforehand, you've got to do the knowledge in terms of about all the road signs and the speed restrictions and all this stuff. So you've got the knowledge, you then get shown, that's the what, you get shown the how. You then put it into practice. With the driving instructor, you go out on lessons, you do on 3-4 times a week, practice, practice, practice. I'm not quite getting this right, test and adjust. Pass your driving test, happy days, first time, hopefully. And then, are you an amazing world-class driver from that point moving forwards? Are you the best driver? No, it takes time, it takes practice, experience. It doesn't take years, it can do in some skills. Look at Michael Jordan in basketball, years. You know, some of these top performers, basketball players, sports personalities, footballers, it takes years and years, but they keep mastering it over time, getting better and better. Fortunately, with IBS, it's very, very quick. We help clients in usually 8 weeks, usually get their symptoms dialed in a lot quicker than that, as in feeling better within a handful of weeks, but certainly over an 8-week duration is what we found to getting that man the skills required so that he can then go on in his life with that blueprint, as you will, that plan, with his secret weapon. Because guess what? All the other people that are suffering with IBS running around in circles, not knowing how to get it. And he's like, yeah, cool, I know exactly what I'm doing. I might not be perfect at it yet. I might not be there quite just yet, but I've got this to fall back on. And that's just to manage expectations, which we'll cover in this on. So that is, in a nutshell, I hope that makes sense, in what we mean by a skill set, skills, what people need, what men need to overcome IBS. You see, it's so different, isn't it? Nobody tells you this thing. They're all saying, oh, try this supplement. Oh, yeah, I've got breath test. Oh, let's test your hair. Let's breathe into this. Let's do all this stuff. Let's try this fad diet. Do you want to do this diet, that diet? So just miss bread. Don't eat gluten, you'll be fine. So, yeah, that's going to work. Maybe you've done it already. Does it work? No, it doesn't. Because I've been there before. I've tried all this stuff when I had IBS before I met Charlie G. And some days you get small wins and you think, I've cracked the code. Yay! I've cracked the code. I've got these probiotics or prebiotics, and I've got this supplement. I'm on this. I'm constipated, so I'm taking laxatives. I've got stomach pain, so I'm on Buscopan. I've got all this stuff. But I get the outcome. And that's the question. If you have the skill where your symptoms are not happening, where day to day, week to week, month by month, you are not suffering at all. And if you do, it's on your task. You decide when you're going to suffer, as in you decide when you're going to eat something that's got something in it you know that's going to cause you maybe some symptoms, and you can handle that accordingly. Okay. Well, the answer for most of you listening to this is no. So then we've got to pull it back and have that honest chat with ourselves, and just realise this is not your fault, because you are smashed day in, day out with marketing, advertising, etc. All this stuff. Buy this product, buy that product, use this app, use that app. And nobody is telling you exactly what the overarching thing is, what needs to do, which is create the skill. Once you're happy with that, we then need to find the right person with the right tools to get us that outcome. This is the next issue. This is the next big challenge, which we're going to cover in a second. Hopefully that all makes sense. So before we do any of that stuff, I'm not saying certain diets don't work. I'm not saying that at all, because guess what? Clearly, there is some form of diet, as you will, or food that needs tailoring to you. to managing symptoms. Obviously, I would never say that it isn't. It's not just pop a tablet, overnight success, you're cured, because there is no cure, and there is no such thing as an overnight success. If people are saying that, run a mile. Okay? So we need to put in the hard work to get in that outcome. We need to roll our sleeves up and lean into this if you want the outcome. If you don't want the outcome, it's cool. You know, listen to this, you might think, well, you know, that's great. I'm just happy trying this supplement. I like taking supplements. Maybe you like taking all this stuff. And who knows? Everybody's got their own opinion, their own decision. But how is that impacting you? How is that impacting your family around you, at work, your colleagues, your wife, your husband, your partner? You know, who is that impacting? Because sometimes it is impacting other people as well, which we've covered in other podcasts. Okay, quick story then about something totally different to IBS, but it can be related, can cause IBS, is PTSD. So I was in the military, I said before, for 23 years. Back in 2003, if you remember that far back, depending on how old you are, if you're listening to us as a youngster, you might not remember, but back in 2003, we had the Second Gulf War. So we went out there, and during that tour, various things happened. I won't go into detail, that I didn't know at the time. I thought I was handling it. I didn't think it was a problem. That made me, two things happened from that tour for me. First of all, I got D&V, diarrhea and vomiting, severe case. I was really in a bad way for about 2 weeks. That, I'm guessing from what I've studied and from what Charlie G's told me, really, really destroyed my gut. And it just, I guess, coincidentally, from that point moving forwards, I was fine before then. I then later got diagnosed with IBS. So irritable bowel syndrome, diarrhea predominant. And as I said, at that time, I didn't know. It was just moving forwards. The other thing then, I saw a few things, did some stuff out there that, again, I thought was fine with. I then carried forward from another tour as well, out in Kosovo, where when I was out there in Kosovo, in the Balkans, I was visiting mass graves, seeing a lot of sites that had where people had been tortured and murdered by obviously it was the Albanians and the Serbians that were at each other's necks. So there was a lot of things out there, seeing dead bodies and this, that, the other. And again, I thought it was fine, and didn't realise until years and years later that I had PTSD through having nightmares and various other bits and pieces. Now, I will say I wasn't as bad. So how do you gauge it and how bad that is? Some friends of mine that have been to, like, for example, Afghanistan and other tours have had differences, and maybe you've been in a car accident, or you were serving yourself, and maybe you've carried trauma from childhood. A lot of people get trauma from childhood. Things have happened to them, Trauma can happen in loads of different ways. Now, the key thing for me, I didn't realise I had it, and I had a little bit of anger issues. Not on my family, I wasn't a violent person, never have been. Just snappiness and the sleep thing. There's a few things, but over time were causing me problems. Now, I'm a big believer in getting help. I am. I practice what I preach. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this podcast. I wouldn't be doing this video. Who would I be saying to you, go and get help, and I don't go and do that? So, and I've always, not straight away, unfortunately, but getting expert help is a complete game changer. So for PTSD, I did loads of tests, spoke to various different people, reached out to, we have a thing called Op Courage in the UK, and if you're watching this, you're in the UK and you've got issues, I highly recommend speaking to these guys. NHS, Op Courage, I think it's for veterans, but anyway, and they can give you, point in the right direction. I then had, I think over time, 16 or so sessions of cognitive behaviour therapy, CBT. Complete game changer. Talking to that therapist, a psychologist, even for the first time, was like a huge burden had been removed, a weight off my shoulders that I didn't even know were there, invisible weight. I felt better, and within weeks, I was given tools and hacks, as you will, to start to remap my brain, to start to make things more understandable in like the dreams and turn things around, manage things. And you know what? Now my sleep is really good. I sleep really. I still wake up a little bit in the night, tossing and turning, a few injuries, and it's a complete game changer. Because here's the thing: we can suffer in silence all day long as a man, and just say, "I'll just get on with it. I'll just get on with it." But going to an expert, they've got skills, they've got knowledge and experience. Remember we said before about the wisdom. They've got the wisdom that you don't have. They have the wisdom I didn't have. I don't know psychology at their level. I'm not a psychologist, trained with a degree. I haven't got years and years of experience of dealing with people with PTSD. And it's the same with IBS, guys. It's the same with IBS. You're trying it on your own all the time and running around. That's why I wrote the book, which is not IBS Inversion, is a book that's not even about diets. This is all about mindset, if anything, and it's the skill. IBS inversion, well, inversion thinking is a skill. It's a skill that can be used across loads of different platforms. It's a skill that is used, it was used by in the military, by me in the army. It's a skill that's used by millionaires, billionaires use it. Warren Buffett, the late Charlie Munger used it. Tons and tons of people, all the way back to Marcus Aurelius and the Roman Emperor and Stoics, all used a form of inversion thinking because it works. Otherwise, people wouldn't still be using it. And we can use that to identify where we're falling short with that, because sometimes we don't know. Sometimes you can't see the woods through the trees because you don't know what you don't know. And the biggest cost to you right now, to anybody, whether it's in wealth, IBS, the biggest cost, apart from obviously the skill, is knowing the unknown. If you don't know the thing, what you need to know to get you there, that's costing you the most, isn't it? If you think about it, that's the biggest drama, the biggest issue. And they say the biggest thing that will hurt you the most is what you don't know to getting the outcome that you want. Okay, so pulling it back to the CBT that I had, yeah, it was a complete game changer. Getting expert help in anything, it can change absolutely everything. It can literally have the power to transform your life and those around you, the trajectory of it. Even if not today, but definitely tomorrow and next week, next month, next year, you start seeing a totally different, you're on a different path, on a more positive path, may I add. So, as I said before, that's the biggest cost to you right now is that skill, the skill that you don't have in anything. Whether you want to be a successful entrepreneur, whether you want to lose a ton of weight, whether you want to put a ton of muscle mass on, whether you want to sort your IBS out and get it dialed in because it's doing your head in and you've had enough of it fully and finally, then you've just got to close that gap. First of all, you need that mindset to go, right, I need the belief now that yes, I can do this. Because if other people can do it, why can't I? Because guess what? The truth is, guys, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of men out there that have IBS mastery. Me being one of them. Maybe you're listening to this and you're almost there yourself. I hope so. But if you're not, I would invite you to take a different way of thinking, reflect back on what you've tried already, and listen, you haven't tried, you haven't failed. You can either learn in life or you can succeed. There is no failing. Yes, like me when I had IBS, like with other stuff that I've had issues with in my life, I have learned loads of ways on how not to do something. I had a marriage before this one that was a complete shambles. It was a mess. Guess what? I learned how to be a better husband. I learned how to have a good marriage next time. So there's always positives you can draw out from negatives, even in really bad situations. And if you can't see it now, you can with the right mindset moving forwards. So what we're doing is we're paying either way, aren't we? We're paying for not knowing or we're paying for knowing, whether that's, usually financially, to close that gap and to get that skill set. If we don't, we're just paying into the university of not knowing all the time. So that's where we need that size. We've got to close that gap. We've got to get that skill set, close it down so we can manage our lives moving forward. Right, to manage expectations then, as I said before, and I want to just re-emphasize this, if anybody out there is saying to you, they've got this skill, they can give you the skill, and it's like an overnight success, it's a load of rubbish. It is a load of rubbish. It takes time and it takes effort and it takes practice to get that skill, to get mastery. Okay? With anything. Whether it's your fitness, with your health, it could be anything. It takes time. It takes consistency. Yeah, the words that we don't seem to like as humans. We just want that overnight success. We just want the quick fix, right? So why expert help? Who do we go and see? You're listening to this now, you're like, yep, Glenn, I get it. I can relate to that. I'm driving a car. I'm a high achiever myself. I'm in senior management, CEO, whatever that looks like. I get it. I just need that skill. I get it. But, Glenn, the drama is there's so many people out there that pretty much can't give me that skill. There is a lot of charlatans out there, truth. There is a lot of fake gurus, all true. but there are also a select few that are very, very good. Are they cheap? I hope not. The other ones are. The other ones definitely are. But the best, you pay for what you get in life. That is the bottom line. Why do you pay for what you get financially? Again, my belief, and again, you'll have your own thoughts, is there's two reasons. Well, first of all, you're not paying them. You're like, what? If you're paying, let's say you find a coach or an expert, a mentor, and they charge a fee, maybe they charge 25,000, maybe they charge 10, maybe they charge 5k, whatever that looks like. You are not paying that person. You're paying yourself. You are paying to invest in yourself. Again, different way of thinking. Because you're investing in yourself, you're investing in your future, and you should be getting a return on that investment in your health, success, with your wealth. Because guess what? Having your IBS dialed in, the positive consequences of having IBS dialed in and conquering it and managing those symptoms, well, in most cases, that's going to give you more energy. It's going to create or lift the brain fog. So you can think clearly more, think more creative, design more things, make more offers, grow a bigger business, have a huger impact, create a better legacy for yourself, for your children. So all these things now start to become possible and start to happen, which obviously bring about varying different results, one of which is financial benefits. So there's huge, huge benefits to this. That said, then who do we see? Who do we see to get that expert help? What does that look like? Well, ultimately, there's the long way and there's the slow way. Now, speed is the biggest thing. The biggest thing that you're going to get from going to the right person, the right coach, mentor, whatever, is speed. Speed and efficiency. Because you're paying for their wisdom. You're literally, the better they are, the better they can give you the outcome in a quickest and shortest space of time. That's what I believe. Because otherwise, what's the point? Would you go up to somebody that said, if I said to you now, guys, I'll put a link in the description below, and I can help you with your IBS, click that link below, it's really cheap, and we're going to work together, and I'm going to get you sorted your IBS out in 2 years. Is that going to be beneficial to you? Some people might be like, yeah, that's better than not having it forever, clearly. But more often than not, you're like, 2 years? What? If I said, even if it was like $2,000, we're going to work together. It's going to be really, really difficult. It's going to be really complicated, but don't worry, I'll try and get you to understand it. It's going to be really scientific. It's going to blow your mind, but we'll get there slowly but surely, because I'm going to be with you day in, day out. It's going to be every day we're going to work together. It already sounds like that, listening to this, thinking that sounds horrible. And we're going to get there in 8 months' time. And it's going to be really, 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 really difficult. Would you be interested? Nope, I wouldn't be. I'd run a mile. I'd be like, what? I want something that's simple as possible. Obviously, there's going to be things I need to learn. Something that's simple and something that's fast. Yeah, I don't want to be hanging around. Who wants to be hanging around for months and years, trying to get a skill? You want it done now, because time, for a lot of people, is money. Time is opportunity. So it's getting it done as quickly as possible that's realistic as well, may I add. Because some people are unrealistic, aren't they? Oh yeah, 6-minute abs. There's a classic one I watched yesterday on Will Tennyson on YouTube, and going on this ab machine, 6-minute abs, whatever. Anyway, crazy. There we are, going on, digressing. What you're doing is you're tapping into that expert's wisdom. That's what you're doing. That's why you're getting the speed and the simplicity. It's not because they don't know what they're on about. Well, I'd like to think not. Okay, like with our clients, when we get our clients in, just as an example, we work together with the ones that we want to work with. Once they've filled out the application form, we make sure we can help them first of all. That's what an expert should be doing. They should be making sure they can help you. Remember, if they can help everybody, they can help nobody. So if they're saying, yeah, I can help the entire world with IBS, yeah, I'll be like, okay, I need to maybe be a bit sceptical about this. Whereas we make sure we can help that individual, because why take an investment off anybody, money, for a service that you've got, if you've got any doubt about getting them the outcome? It just doesn't make sense. It makes no sense at all. Yes, you can have a guarantee and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, you shouldn't work with somebody unless you can 100% certainty that you can help that individual, that man, get the outcome. And then obviously the outcome will then depend on that person's ability to turn up on time, be coachable, put the commitment in and the work ethic, because it's a two-way street, isn't it? If you work with an expert, it should be a two-way street. they should be equally putting in the hard work with their program. Like we've got a program, like with the coaching, when we do Q&As, when we help people, we hold their hand step by step through the process so that they get the outcome quickly. And if a person's not doing that, and they're like, oh, it's just a bunch of information. How many times have you seen that where you go, like with IBS, oh, I'll sell you for $25 or for $150, whatever that looks like financially, or it could be free. There's a bunch of information. Is that information going to get the outcome? No, because guess what? We're going back to my notes from the beginning of the podcast. Knowledge on itself is useless, isn't it? Knowledge, it's okay. We need knowledge, but in of itself, it's not getting you the outcome, because that's just telling you the what. So as an entrepreneur, you constantly reading books on marketing, on this, on that, business, the list is completely endless. And especially doing this, we're then reading books on psychology, performance, etc., etc. And I'm not going to mention any names because I don't believe in name bombing. I think it's really unprofessional. But I have read, there's a certain author, he teaches the what and doesn't even teach the how. It's just crazy. Then to get the how, you've then got to buy more products, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to jump through this hoop and that hoop. And it's really, really frustrating, rather than just being up front and saying, right, like I am, I said before, my book IBS Inversion, that teaches the what and the how. So knowledge is power, so it's teaching you the what with the skill inversion process to find out what's been blocking you from getting sorted out and taking action moving forward with your IBS, which is what that book does. And then giving the individual that reads that the skill, and then showing them step by step how to put that skill into practice, so you get the outcome. It's frustrating. I don't know why people do it and get away with it. More importantly, just this is the what. Brilliant. Now what do I do? It's like, okay, I can see what to do, but how? How do I do it? Okay, so you need everything. So if you're going to go to somebody, I highly recommend obviously finding an expert that's qualified. That is qualified is super important. Like Charlie Jean is a registered dietitian. What does that mean? She's registered in the UK. It still protects you with, that she has guidelines to abide by, strict guidelines now, to make sure she's doing things correctly, ethically, and using scientific evidence that's supported. So you're going to get the outcome safely. In a roundabout nutshell, there's more to it than that, and I'm sure she'll explain in other podcasts. But that's in a nutshell. You're going to the right person that's qualified and experienced, so it gives you the certainty that you are going to be safe and you're going to hopefully get the outcome, safely and correctly. Also, has that expert got past experience, or is it somebody that's just saying, oh, well, I've got IBS, I've sorted my own IBS out, so they're not qualified, and I'm helping everybody else? You've got to look out for these things. There's red flags. Okay. Best thing to do is find an expert, find a person, whether it's in IBS, wealth, cryptocurrency, it could be anything, that's going to get you the outcome quickly, safely. So speed is of essence, isn't it? Fast, safe, and saving you money as well over the long haul. Should save you time and money over the long haul. So you get everything in one place. That's what they should be doing. If they can't do that, well, it's up to you. Personally, I would run a mile and I would go somewhere that could get me that outcome. Spend a bit of time doing your research. Cool. Tap into their wisdom. That's all you're doing. The reason why you pay money, remember I said before, the price is in direct proportion to the skill that they are going to teach you with their own wisdom. You've got to think. So just to paint that picture, between me and Charlie Jean, we have got 20, 33, 34 years experience in the military, including UK Special Forces and special other things that we've done in performance psychology, with coaching, with mentoring. That's a lot of time, a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom. Then on top of that, you've got Charlie Jean, over a decade of experience and qualifications as an example in dietetics, human nutrition, sports performance, sports nutrition. All that and experience is wisdom, which then, on our journey on creating our Men's IBS Mastery Blueprint, tweaking that hard work, late nights, that saves you all that time. That saves you all that hard work and hassle. And ultimately, I mean, we've invested easily in ourselves in different coaching courses and degrees and master's degrees and stuff. Easily over $100,000 to $200,000 easily. So you don't have to. So when you go to these experts, whether it's with us or anybody else, you can see straight away that actually the price that you pay is not that great, is it? When you think that what that person can get you, it's all about the outcome. If you start thinking about outcomes, it's a game changer. What is the outcome that you want? Can that person get you the outcome? Can they get you there quickly and safely? And yes, they can. Bang, you're going to get your ROI. Hope that helps, and hope that all starts to make sense. And again, even just chatting to an expert, it can be free. You know, we chat to people all the time in the Facebook group. I often do courtesy, free of charge, one-on-one coaching calls for men. And it can really help just moving your needle forward, just to shift that mindset. But I listen to this, you might think, yeah, I never thought like that. I never thought of it like that, Glenn. Cool. That's now moving you, even not today, even if it's just moving you forwards 1%, 2%, whatever that looks like, positively, it's better than where you were before and where you're at now, if that makes sense. And speaking to people, if you've got any other issues as well, as I said before, like with me, with the PTSD, with CBT, it can lift that huge burden off your shoulders, a weight off your shoulders that you didn't even know were there, and just remove that dark cloud. Speaking to somebody is a game changer. I recently listened to a podcast to finish off with Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO, where he interviewed Simon Cowell, the British music entrepreneur who creates boy bands, etc. And his story, even though I wasn't either a fan or not a fan of Simon Cowell, I just say, oh, listen to this, see what it's like. Diary of a CEO, good podcast. I like listening to some of them. And his journey just about mental health and depression was emotional. And that's like, but it all led to, part of that podcast, in him getting expert help. And how for years he put it off, putting that brave face on, like, oh yeah, I'll be all right. Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll just get on with it. I'll just lean into it. I'm a man. I'll look after my family. I'll do this. But it all starts with you. Everything starts with you. By getting help is a superpower. Simon Cowell did it. I've done it. Entrepreneurs, sports professionals, they have a team around them, whether it's coaching, mentoring, whether that's Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, footballers, they all have a team. They all have experts around them to move them forwards to level up in life. And it's the same with IBS, guys. Hope that helps. Hopefully, if you like the podcast, please share it. If you're thinking of anybody else that might like it or need to hear this and think, oh yeah, that's a game changer, then please share it along. Spread the love. That's all. My only ask of this for this podcast. If you like the sound of the book I mentioned, IBS Inversion, you don't need to buy that on Amazon. It is on Amazon on hard copy and paperback. Feel free. I'm blessed and grateful if you buy a copy. But ultimately, again, my goodwill to the podcast subscribers. If you're watching this on YouTube, fire over to the podcast channel, Beyond Bathroom Blues, and the audio version of that is free. It's broken down into 3 parts, so it's 3 sittings. You can blaze through it in a couple of hours. Put that into practice. Inversion thinking, game changer. Not just with IBS, but with your health, your wealth, your relationships. Inversion thinking and the skill itself. It was a game changer for me. It's used by tons and tons of successful people out there. Listen to the thing. If you don't like it, cool. If you like it and it helps, even better. Yeah, just let us know how you get on. Thanks a lot for your time. Take care, and I wish you nothing but the best. Bye-bye.